And this is the content everyone comes for.
Yes.
That's right.
The, the preamble to the episode that ends up being on the actual recording.
We're gonna have to find some '90s acoustic.
That's right.
The preamble to the episode that ends up being on the actual recording.
We're gonna have to find some '90s acoustic.
That's right.
There we go. Jewel and who else? Trying to think of what else I listened to in the coffee shops. A lot of Van Morrison.
Always a good choice.
All right, episode 15 now. Go ahead and drop this in the chat. And then I'm going to take this link and put it on the Facebook and the LinkedIn so they know we're here. Ben, we are officially rolling. It is live and we are over to you. Go ahead.
Hey, well, hello and good morning to everybody out there. Thank you for tuning in to Virtual Coffee with Ben. My name is Ben Blackman. I'm the Director of Development for Ridge. That is Royal Innovation Design Group, which is a group of innovation consultants based in St. Petersburg, Florida. Before I get started today, I want to encourage you all, of course, to go to the Ridge YouTube channel to hit subscribe. You can also go to our Facebook page to like our content, share our content, and you can actually schedule your own virtual coffee session with me if you'd like to have a discussion on or off the air about how we can help your company to strategically plan for the future, how to innovate, create a strong culture for your employees. This morning, I'm very excited to welcome back our returning champion. It's Leslie Hielema. Leslie joined us last week and the response was so overwhelming. We had so much left to talk about that we brought her back. So I'm happy to bring her back. Leslie is the founder and CEO of Quantum Strategy Lab. We're also joined today, as always, by Jorn Oppel. Jorn is the Director of Creativity and Innovation for Ridge. How are you guys doing this morning?
Great. Thank you, Ben and Joran.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Well, we talked a lot last time, Leslie, about your background in quantum physics. We talked about product development, really exciting stuff. I hate to be a downer, but it's 2020. We have to talk about the pandemic. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this. We didn't have enough time to really dive into it last week, but I'm curious. It's on everybody's mind. It's affecting every business. I'm curious how the pandemic has affected your work at Quantum Strategy Lab for yourself, but also in the work that you're doing with your clients. How has this process evolved from the beginning of the year when this first came about to where we are now, and what do you expect for the remainder of the year?
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you. I had a great year last year. Moving into January and February, I had I had amazing clients, very busy. But with the pandemic, I had kind of two groups of clients. One that really had products and services that were really relevant for COVID. So they got so busy just kind of producing and selling, they got overwhelmed. But then I had other clients that really had to kind of take a step back and focus on protecting their employees and the company. And so they kind of went into hibernation. So it got kind of quiet for me. And so as a result of it, I'm like, it was a perfect time to really say, I use a particular kind of process. A lot of it is not documented and I haven't really articulated it fully. So I said, let me take the time to really explore, put into words, put into, a formal process, how I do my work. Because I kept saying, how are you so successful with all the things you launch? I said, well, I use this process, that have kind of evolved over 20 years. It uses innovation, it uses some other techniques. So I took some time to really think it through. And as I was kind of documenting and thinking through, what is my really unique value proposition to my clients? I had a chance to really rethink, who do I want to serve? What kind of clients do I really want to work with? I was finding I worked with a lot of I'll talk technology, industrial clients, weren't so keen into in exploring, talking to customers, doing customer discovery, spending some upfront time in that kind of exploration and discovery stage. So I said, and that's the key and the magic, as you guys well know, with your innovation practice. So I said, I probably need to find clients that are comfortable moving into that uncomfortable space. So I really took some time to just rethink who my client is, redefine my business, redefine my processes. So and that's where Quantum Strategy Lab actually evolved from. So I really took the time to deeply think about what I want to do moving forward. And I think with COVID, we were reminded that we cannot control the future. The future is uncontrollable and pretty much not really predictable, and everybody's kind of moved into a much more like, let me create for now. And then the next moment comes, let me create for now, which innovation practices are perfectly suited for. So, I came back into my love of quantum and what kind of analogy or model does quantum bring to us? Because quantum is well suited, or it really defines, the quantum physics says, the world is uncertain. The world is participatory. We co-create, with others and with the universe. There are infinite possibilities out there, and you can access them. And so I was like, wow, we live in a quantum realm, and we should be creating our businesses and products from that truth, that reality, that model of science. And so that's kind of what I've been doing, is really just deeper thinking. And I want to say, our businesses and our products are really our main vehicle for making the world a better place. We typically had our companies, our businesses, our jobs, and then maybe we had our volunteer work. But I'm like, why, they should blend better, and people have social ventures where they've made a kind of a decision to say, we're going to make money for a higher purpose, but like, what happens if we create businesses and products for a higher purpose? What does that look like? And how can we put our higher selves into our work? How can we raise the energy, the frequency, the goodwill, the abundance, the a lack of fear in the world through our businesses and products? So I've really been pondering that, experimenting now, using my my now well articulated process to design and launch some new products. And it feels, I'm now excited. I'm like, this is aligned with me. This is something only I can come up with out of my brain, because I'm sitting more fully in my creative potential, with an understanding that, the future is uncertain. We want to create for the betterment of this world, the betterment of this planet. And I think I'm sitting so firmly in that space now. So that's kind of what COVID has done for me. Now I'm going to be moving out and experimenting with other people's businesses and products to see how this brings not only financial abundance and returns, but, a higher sense of purpose for our short time on this planet, and, and using our energy as most effectively as possible.
It's really interesting to hear you talk about the higher purpose, because I see it a lot in the marketing efforts from companies that are always kind of signaling, especially in a time of crisis like this, that their employees are the most important and they're really involved in the community. You don't always see it reflected in the actual products that they're putting forth. So I think it's really interesting that is kind of where your head is at, is looking at how the products themselves can somehow serve a higher purpose. You talked a little bit about your process, your unique process, and I don't want you to give away any of the proprietary special sauce, but I'm curious to know a little bit more about that, how your process specifically was refined during the pandemic, and a little bit more about how you apply that with your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think our process, we have great process. I love all the value prop canvas and business model canvas. And we've been designing for maybe increased efficiency. We design for changing people to have healthier behaviors, make life easier, better. We design for utility and service, but a product is, I use it as a broader term, could be product, service, platform, event, program, and whatever we build to sell or have our customers use is kind of the general product word. And if you're in business, you have a product, right? And the product is actually, a product is actually at the end of the day how you make someone feel, right? I feel more efficient. I feel better at my job. I feel healthier, right? So if a product is how we make someone feel, in a sense, how do we put more intention and energy of higher value into our product? So I've actually have a canvas that has some other product attributes, like attributes like, how does it elevate life? How does it embody empathy? How does it generate or create abundance for the user, for the company, and for whoever our customers serve? You must co-create, to actually get into the broader quantum realm of infinite possibilities. It needs to be generative, not depleting. A lot of products, it's funny, I think our industrial revolution was magnificent for helping us produce more for more people, right? But I think it went too far, and it went, let's create more for more people so I have more. And I think it went out of equilibrium now when people are like, it's more for me, and we went out of balance. So we're really out of balance, and so we need to kind of bring that back in. We can do more for more people, but we have to kind of really think through what is more for me, redefine what more for me means. So, I have a canvas that has those attributes I discussed, plus circularity. I'm very much into circular economies, ease, also understanding the systems and the collective and system within what that customer, where that customer client fits, or how they operate in. So we're looking at the customer as a adaptive living system. We're looking at the environment of their system, and we're designing with all of those principles in mind. So I have kind of a canvas now that, how do we design these principles into the product, and how do we sustain those elements into the product? How do we measure it? So that we are creating more sustainable products. We are creating products and services that enhance how our customers feel beyond our marketing and beyond our brand. It's really the main tool we have to create a regenerative and ongoing relationship with our customers and affect how we feel about each other and what we're exchanging. And it's really about the principles of creating a higher value exchange between both parties. And that's kind of key. How do we create a sustainable, a regenerative, and ongoing value exchange with our products? Moving it beyond our marketing, as you mentioned. So, I think you have to look at your business as a whole system too. A living and adaptive system. And you have to, so part of my other process is, how do you keep this living adaptive system of your business fortified and energized to support these new design principles? So I have 8 components that you need to kind of keep in your energy sources or drivers that need to be active within your business, within your team, to also be able to maintain quantum products or higher energy products with higher value exchange. That's a lot, but I don't know.
No, that's great. So, for companies that are looking at this system in totality, is now the right time during the pandemic? Is now the right time to really start reevaluating strategic priorities and reinvesting in innovation practices and things like that?
Yes. I think, we've lived in
Is
a
that what you're
world.
seeing in the marketplace, is that
Yes.
companies are
Yes. I
taking this
think,
opportunity?
yeah, absolutely. I think what you do, what innovation practices, I think innovation is the only tool we really have now. So, we used to live in a thought process or a world where, as I mentioned, kind of Newtonian principles. Everything's like machines. We can take them and break them into their parts, fix the parts, put it back together. Change was linear. We could create continuity and certainty. It needed to be seen and proven. There were one best answer, one best solution. We thought that's the way the world works, or we kind of created all our systems to support that worldview. But, we now know that we are in an uncertain world. It's complex. There's surges in chaos. There's rapid change and unpredictability. And innovation is the only tool we have to really design for that truth and that reality, because we don't know the future. And innovation is the only tools we have. Also, innovation practices are the only tools that make us adaptive enough to design for the unknown and to keep listening and paying attention to what's needed next, and then what's needed next. So I think the practice of innovation are critical for the truth and the reality of the world that we live in. And it's becoming it's going to be less able to control the future. It's going to be even more predictable. And so you design your product, you design your businesses for the fact that the world is unpredictable. We can't control it. And we just need to kind of just stay on the forefront, present and now, present and now, present and now. And in deep dialogue with our customers, in deep dialogue with the market environment. What are the signals? What are the trends? And innovation are the best tools for staying in the unpredictable future and designing for what people truly need and want, and co-creating with them. So I think the work that you guys do is really the way we need to move forward in designing businesses and products. And so that's kind of where I'm sitting now. Everything we create has to be done that knowing that we sit in an uncontrollable, unpredictable, ever-changing, fast-changing world.
So you mentioned trends, and I wanted to pivot a little bit to talk more generally, just the world at large. It seems like you have your finger on the pulse on what's happening in the innovation world, but are there certain trends that you're really interested in or keeping your eye on for not only the back half of this year, but going into 2021 and even over the next 5 to 10 years? Are you looking that far out? Are there things that are on the horizon that really are piquing your interest?
Yeah, I think, I see more and more trends to people saying, you know what, I want to design, I want to create, I want to use my work life to do something meaningful. So I see more and more people, entrepreneurs, individuals saying, you know what, this old model of produce, produce, produce doesn't suit me. It seems like, it's an endless loop, a hamster wheel. So I see a lot more people saying, you know what, I want to create something more meaningful for the world. So I see people saying that within their jobs and being a little bit more frustrated, maybe in these larger corporations where they're not expressing their fuller creative abilities. So I'm seeing that. I'm seeing a lot more people wanting to create additional income streams. So, with the gig economy, but people that work for the companies are now starting to create other streams of income for themselves. People are being more creative and thinking about how do I want to generate income, being a little bit more open. So the world of traditional jobs, is obviously changing. Obviously, what we purchase and what we need is completely shifting. And so we have to really rethink, what do we need now? What we thought we needed before is not now what we need now. There's a lot of tangible goods we don't need. Obviously, what what we need is changing and what we want is changing. And so being in tune with these new product opportunities in this world of people feeling like they need less. I think people are becoming much more conscious of what resources they use through COVID. And they want to be more respectful and conscious about the resources they utilize and purchase and how they dispose of things. I think a lot of companies that operated out of the old model of predictability, we can forecast we can create a strategic vision for 3-5 years, are kind of halted right now and not knowing quite what to do, and they're waiting to go back into the old way of doing things. And I think are in for a surprise that those old models of strategic planning, those old, models of road mapping, are not as suitable moving forward.
That's great. I appreciate your insights on that. If you're just joining us out there, you are watching Virtual Coffee with Ben. My name is Ben Blackman. I'm the Director of Development for Ridge, and I am joined today, again, second week in a row, Leslie Hielema. She's the founder and CEO of Quantum Strategy Lab. Also joined by Jordan Appel, Director of Creativity and Innovation for Ridge. I just want to encourage everybody out there, again, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like this content, you can also go to our Facebook page and stay tuned for more conversations just like this one. Well, I mentioned Jordan. I wanted to bring him in. I know he's probably got some questions to ask Leslie, so I'll turn it over to you for a moment.
Sure. So you mentioned uncertainty and you mentioned metrics or measuring, and what I'm hearing, and I know like most people nowadays probably know the word Heisenberg from Breaking Bad, right? But for those of us who are familiar with Heisenberg's uncertainty principle and what that's based on or what influenced that, just in the spirit of that kind of, when you measure something, it's there, right? When you don't measure it, there's no way to know if it's there or not, right? That kind of spirit of quantum physics, at least at the subatomic level. This idea of measuring something when it's not there really kind of intrigues me right now, because I think what's happening is that we're all, as businesses or within this marketplace, we're all kind of experiencing an invisibility condition, and we're all driving at the length of a flashlight beam, right? Trying to rebuild, like you said, from scratch, rebuild all of our research and our analytics and our intelligence, because it's always shifting. The needs of the marketplace are shifting. From week to week, it's shifting and transforming. So we have to rebuild all that intelligence that we've relied on. I think what I'm most curious about, and about all of this, is how are we measuring it? You mentioned, I'd be curious to know, like, what is in your mind, what is the silver bullet? What is the laser, the microscope that we use to measure, to rebuild that intelligence? And you
Yeah.
mentioned in your framework things like elevating life and cultivating empathy. How in the world right now have you gotten, or are you getting people to be honest enough with the fact that maybe their life is in turmoil, or that maybe they don't have all the facts and they don't know, right? How do you get somebody to the place of honesty and admitting they don't know? And then what is the tool that you're using to measure that?
I love that. I love this question. Thank you, Joran. And Heisenberg principle is so fascinating because, something can be a particle or it could be a wave. And, if you put the measurement technology out there to observe a particle, you will see a particle. If you put the measurements out there to see a wave, you see a wave. So when you choose to observe something, you are collapsing the wave function to see something. So in the meantime, it's everything, it's a wave and a particle. So everything's out there, and then you can choose by asking what questions you want to ask, what you observe, right? So if you make the decision to observe something of a higher purpose, like, I want to I want to see what people want in this realm of elevating life. I want to ask those questions. And I want to get answers back in that realm. Like, how do people want to, what kind of abundance do people need? How do people feel about elevating life? So you begin to ask a different set of questions of the universe, or of, you get different answers back, or you get answers back. And you can then design from that what you learn. And how you measure it is based on how receptive customers are, how much you sell, how engaged they are. And so what I've kind of always designed with these principles, and I've been able to measure and track through typical business measures. So engagement, loyalty, new customers, investment. It's successful from all the traditional business measures, and there's additional senses of purpose. More people are on board, you create more followers, you're a movement maker, you become a thought leader. People feel the sense of what you're trying to do for them, for the planet. And it has a different energy. I mean, when you're around someone who's very positive and charismatic and exudes love and acceptance, you feel it and you feel attracted to them, right? If someone uses fear and anger to try to influence you, it's short term, but it doesn't work long. I feel these same principles can be applied to the design of our products. And you can measure them by how responsive the world is to what you created. And so, for example, I'll use an example. I had launched a platform, or co-launched a platform for, it was a virtual accelerator for women entrepreneurs. And as soon as we launched, we were highly successful. We had 2,000 people in our database by the end of the year. We were featured continually in media, news. We had immense support and success. The funding flowed in very easily because we designed from these principles. So I contend that they give you better business results and measures because people really want something. They want to feel this way.
I imagine at least in the planning stages, maybe not in the product when you get to product dev, but at least in the planning stages, I can generalize and say, we all have a natural human response to uncertainty that is going to show up on a spectrum that ranges from, let's say, in the best case, cosmic mystery, which looks like opportunism, and in the worst case, existential dread and fear and apathy and death, right? And we're all somewhere in between there when we face uncertainty. So I think, I think you got to plot those points and then see where everybody is and then start to move everybody kind of to the middle and then to one end of that.
Yeah. It's funny, Jordan, I was just thinking about this morning, and that, uncertainty is scary. Not knowing where you're going can be scary. Now, there's some of us that thrive in it. Like, I thrive in it. I love it. I love swimming in the unknown. I'm an explorer. You guys are the same. You're an explorers and you're okay in the uncertainty. So I was thinking, people like you are, are kind of like guides or Sherpas. And I'm also a guide or a Sherpa. And so I'm comfortable in that space, and I will lead you through the uncertainty with a very structured process. So it will feel very progressive. We're going to gather evidence and guideposts and documents and everything along the way. And so that it feels structured. We're taking one step at a time. We're proving it to be true. Then we take the next step. We prove it to be true. So I think what helps, until people are more comfortable with the tools, that they can use a guide. You would use a guide to climb a mountain. You would use a guide to go through the jungle, to sail the seas, because you're not trained in it. It's new. It might be scary. But I think, there'll be a lot more guides out there to help people get comfortable in this realm that isn't so fuzzy. You know, there's tools and there's ways and there's methods to move through this space. I think everybody just has to get adept at using these new tools to create business. You know, I think it's fun. I think it's enjoyable, and I think it's more magic to create when you don't know, and you discover something magic. You discover a hunger. You discover something, you know, a core group of people deeply desire. And so when you discover that and then you begin to create with them, it's much more exciting. It's much more motivating, you know. And I think if you find that need and you create the right product, it should give you goosebumps. It should give people goosebumps because you've tapped into a core human need.
That's great. Well, I can't think of two better people to guide the world than you two. And there's one thing we talked about, uncertainty. There's one thing I'm certain about. When we have you on, Leslie, the conversation is going to be very interesting.
I love
There
you
might
guys.
even have to be a part 3 at some point. We will see. But that
Yes.
is unfortunately all the time we have for today. Before we go, though, I want to give you another chance to remind people once again where they can go to find out more information about all the great work you're doing at Quantum Strategy Lab.
Thank you, Ben. I am launching my new website next week, quantumstrategylab.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Leslie Hielema, Hielema.
Fantastic. Well, I encourage everyone to go check it out. Go to quantumstrategylab.com, and you can also go to ridge.com if you're interested in the work that Jorn and the rest of us at Ridge are doing. That's ridg.com. Again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook page for more. Hopefully, we will see you again next time. That will be next Wednesday. Thank you all again for tuning in, and take care out there.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye.
Leslie.
Bye-bye.